Thank you, Trevor, and nice hearing from and rated there after SK locked in that #1 spot here in the European LCS. Him saying that we might have not prepared as well for this game. We were slightly off. That's from the side of SK, but I would like to focus on MYM because it is really unfortunate for them that it slips out of their fingers knowing that they are fighting to keep out of that auto relegation spot when everything went so good for them in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, and it's really tough scheduling as well. When you look at, you go into the last week, your first opponent has to be the top of the table. So for MYM, that's a big mountain to overcome. And you know, there were a lot of positives from the beginning of the game. You wouldn't have thought, looking at that game, it was #1 versus a potential #10, because up until about the 15-20 minute mark, they were fairly even on gold. The biggest difference between the two teams, however, was the dragon control that SK Gaming had over the entire game. And it's something that I've actually been a little bit surprised by in today's pick and bans. Rek'Sai has been open in most of the games we've seen today, and that's the first time that Rek'Sai has been picked out by a team. And you saw how easy that early game jungler is just bullying around a Nunu who should have superb dragon control.
Yeah, Svenskeren is fantastic on that Rek'Sai, and as you mentioned, the Nunu, dragon control, vision control, but it seemed that MYM was always, they had it in their heads that they wanted to set up for dragon, but they weren't positioned correctly or got picked off. And I actually want to get one of the replays up on the screen where Mr. Ralls is, I gotta say, a little bit out of position, or I'm not sure what was up with that flank.
Yeah, Mr. Rallis is over at the side. This is just after Haro got caught out, just trying to ward and get around in the jungle. You can see Rallis is actually on his own. And when you look at this composition that comes out from MeetYourMakers, they've got Lulu, they've got Nunu. Everything should be here to protect Mr. Rallis, and he's getting good damage done, but that's only while Forgiven is ignoring him. Forgiven turns his attention over to Mr. Rallis, who's out of position on the wrong side of the map, and he's an easy pick-off. And from there, SK just take the entire fight.
Yeah, because Mr. Ralls was playing well. He has been playing a lot better under Noxiac, but Noxiac dying a little too much in this one. And maybe I feel like MYM was kind of half committing to helping Jinx and not. And your composition is made or broken by peeling for Jinx, and they just didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And at that point, Mr. Rallis, I believe, was 5-0. And that was actually a really good kind of feeling for the MYM team. Their team comp wanted to scale late. You wanted to get Jinx a little bit later into the game, get the itemization. It just fell flat after a couple of team fights that didn't go their way. SK, it's actually very similar to the last time these two teams played earlier in the split. SK took 5 dragons pretty much uncontested and then rolled through the base. This time a little bit tougher, but they still took all 5 dragons, grabbed a second Baron, and barreled through the base.
Yeah, great on SK, and I said a bit unfortunate for MYM, definitely because we see improvement, and now they are one step lower, maybe closer to that auto relegation spot. We'll see how that evolves. Before we take a break to set up for our next match, let's hear from you guys at home, because earlier we asked you which team do you think is the most prepared for the spring playoffs and why? And here's what you had to say. Our first answer is from @Pitsenator. He writes, it has to be the Unicorns, because how do you beat them in a best of 5? They beat teams better than them and you can't ban them out. Good point, and we saw it in promotion relegation when they came in and came back and got their spot here, and they've been looking so good.
Yeah, exactly. I've had the immense pleasure of casting Unicorns of Love for about a year and a half now, since the team's inception. And
I'm jealous.
Casting them in a best of 3 or a best of 5 situation is always a weird one, because they always have something in their back pocket. Previously, it's been the Yorick Cassiopeia. What have they found on 5.5 that's something a little bit special, a little bit magical? Yeah,
I think that I'm going to keep it in check, though, until the playoffs, but we might see something crazy coming out a bit later as well. Our second tweet is from @Kronai. He's backing a different horse and says, SK is definitely the front runner for playoffs right now. Even with the IEM results, God-Given will carry them to victory. Yes, Forgiven again did very well here on that Lucian, which isn't the optimal pick for a lot of players in this one. I don't know, though. SK Gaming, if you look at how Fnatic has been winning their last games, even with losing a couple in the past weeks, for instance, they look so scary, and it's totally different sight if you watch SK.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing to watch SK. When you look at it, is they're still making a couple of little mistakes, but Forgiven is going huge right now. Fox is doing a good job as well, and as a unit, they're overcoming their mistakes. And as you touched on the Lucian, he's starting to come back a little bit. Forgiven's been playing him all the time. I wonder whether we'll again see bans on the Graves, on the Lucian, like we saw at IEM. That's going to be the question here in a best of 5 situation.
Yeah, definitely want to see what they have prepared prepared if they come back in the playoffs, of course. And the last one is from @JasonKyle69. H2K, they're putting off a C9 Season 1 type vibe. Not enough people believe, but they earn it game in and out. That's actually completely true because C9 had also, before they went into the LCS, failed to qualify. Then they got into the LCS, they won everything, but they didn't get any fan support initially. So it's a similar story.
Yeah, it is a very similar story, but after today's game, it pains me to say, but I have to kind of disagree. H2K just didn't look like the same H2K that we've seen, and we sung their praises earlier. I mean, Quickshot was mentioning about Kasing's Annie and how good it should be. They first picked it, and yes, Fnatic did put a lot of pressure onto him, but H2K have to be able to take that pressure if they want to compete against Europe's best. Yeah,
we will see how they will evolve going into playoffs. Thank you guys so much for adding to the conversation and sending in those answers. You can chime in on Twitter throughout the day by tweeting @LLEsports with that hashtag LCS. Now coming up, there's two teams that need to win to stay in the league. Both Giants and Elements absolutely need to win. And we'll find out who rises to the occasion after the break. But while you have a couple of minutes, check out LOLesports.com/tickets because it has all the info on the 2015 Mid-Season Invitational. That'll be going on in Tallahassee, Florida. The top 6 league teams from around the world will be fighting for regional pride from May 7th throughout May 10th. We'll all be there and tickets are available right now. We hope to see you there.
MeetYourMakers and SK Gaming for the last time this split, unless MYM can pull out a win here. Could be the last time they meet this year. Little fight, let's see what the Rocket can do.
Oh,
hello,
oh my God.
SK's actually the one who looked like they might be losing this fight. Deathmark is on, JWoww staying alive, Corey's gonna pick up Fox in the meanwhile, and there is gonna be Freddy moving in the shutdown.
Go.
Just kill Leona, just kill Leona, just kill Leona.
Okay, can we get the Jinx? Jinx has no flash. Jinx has no flash. No flash.
I ran dance.
He's dead. Keep going.
Get him all.
Kill them.
Really low.
Okay,
Good job.
Can they maybe push him back? No, he's melting way too fast. Absolute zero.
Freddy?
Maybe they can.
Yeah.
Freddy's taken down. Horo actually living through this one, but not for long as a double kill. SK Gaming cement their #1 spot in the spring split.